Righto, morning all. Back in the swing of it today. I had a day off yesterday. The old legs were a bit tired, so I thought I'd have a bit of a rest. So I've made my way up to Holy Island, which is over there. This is the North Sea in front of you there. And there's a causeway that you can see the ruins of the Priory over there, just behind those trees. Yeah, there's a causeway, and when the tide's out, you can cycle or drive over there. Every now and again, some idiot gets stuck. And I read a factoid that it costs £1,900. The cost is for the lifeboat to go out and save one trip, 1,900 quid, and people still keep getting caught stuck out there. Anyway, that's a little bit of a spat. Right, last night I stopped on the way up a place called Annick, and a lovely little pub called the Lazy Snotter, and I looked on the specials board, and I thought, I'll tell you what, that sounds delicious. So I said to the landlord, funny old boy, he had a very runny nose, always dabbing it. I said, what's the special pudding? And he went, it's jam roly-poly with bloater paste filling. And I went, hey, I'll have some of that. Anyway, that was delicious. A little bit salty though. Yeah, the custard was salty. Anyway, I thought I'd stop off at Holy Island. So here we are, Holy Island over there, across the North Sea. When the tide's out, you can walk there. Now, apparently Holy Island goes back to the 6th century, and it was an important centre of Celtic Christianity in the early days. Unfortunately, the old Vikings came over, Ragnar and his mob, pillaged and plundered and robbed murdered shed loads of monks and all that, and nicked all the silverware. And the first invasion was apparently in 793 AD. And on the island, there's 3 pubs and a hotel. The shop that used to be there apparently is shut. So a bit sad, especially today's times, as it is at the moment with no tourists. Now, Holy Island is otherwise known as Lindisfarne. So I'm sure if you haven't heard of Holy Island, you've heard of Lindisfarne. And the castle was built in 1550 as the Priory went out of use. And of course, if you remember my previous blogs, the Priories all went out of use when Henry VIII said, I don't want to be a Catholic country, I want to be Protestant, therefore I'm in charge, up yours the Pope, and then I'll do what I do. And so dissolution of the monasteries. And during the Victorian era, bizarrely enough, on a tiny little island, there were lime kilns. So yeah, quite a thriving industry. And if you are the arty type, then you would have heard of Turner, the artist, and Rennie Mackintosh. Now, I thought he made coats, but apparently he was a painter, and they used to paint on the island. Really famous people, or a person. Now, you may or may not have heard this, a guy called the Venerable Bede, and he was a monk and a scholar and an author, and he's actually known throughout Great Britain, UK, as the father of English history, and in the 8th century. And of course, the island is famous for mead. Now, mead's a drink made of honey, which the monks used to do. I've had mead, it's very nice. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Anyway, now, I did a bit of research, and Bede, he had an apprentice, and her name was the Venerable Vi Hanley, and her task was to scribe Bede's works into documents. So he'd sit there and dictate, I suppose, yeah, and she'd because she was knowledgeable, she could write. Not many people could read or write in them days, in fact hardly anybody did, but she was very wise, and so she was the scribe, and she took down all the details. Now, unknown to Bede, Hanley had a secret brewing industry producing mead, hooch I suppose you call it nowadays, and so she used to knock up this mead and then flog it and make a few bob out of it. Anyway, she was master of her own destiny because she used to drink too much of it herself, and she would wander the streets slurring an unintelligible gabble that the locals thought she had been visited by spirits and was speaking in tongues. She frequently serviced the needs of the monks with cleaning, cooking and prayer and other things, and she would often give one-to-one prayer in the private cells. And they call them cells where monks live. In fact, I've stayed in a monk cell in where was it? Vienna. Yeah, Vienna. Yeah. Anyway, those walking past the door would hear cries of anguish and wailing, and all thought that Hanny was exorcising the devil from the monk. See you tomorrow.